And welcome back to the Always Be Building show hosted by Dynasty Football Factory Network. I am Stephen Chalmers, joined as always by my boy on the right side of the screen, Ryan Odell, a.k.a. my boy Deli. Say what's up to the people.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the stream, per usual. So last series we covered people that we were trying to buy in on a low value. Today we're going to flip the script. We'll go on the other side. We're going to start covering guys that we would like to sell at their current value, whether that we think their value is too inflated or whether you think that you can tear down and get someone in the same area for a little bit of a fresh value.
Jester, what's up, man? It's always good to see you in here, buddy. So, like Ryan said, this is a pivot type of podcast. Yeah. These QBs we're going to talk about tonight, there's some spicy names in this QB list, some spicy running backs as well. So understand that I think there's an area to pivot to where you can gain and maximize the value of these players,
right? And
cash out, ride it like a stock. We're gonna talk to you like we're talking about stocks here. But before we get started, as always, we love to talk about the Dynasty Football Factory, the membership aspect of it. So the membership, $4.99 a month, $1.99 annually is what it comes out to be. Again, you get access to our Discord. You get to sit around, talk football with us and other football enthusiasts, best ball, redraft, dynasty, Devy, make some money DFS-wise. We can't wait to have you guys in there. It's a great, great time. We enjoy the people we work with over at the Dynasty Football Factory. They are knowledgeable and they are awesome. Just want to throw that out there. But before we get started, Ryan, anything you want to say?
Yeah, no, I'm ready to get this one started. I'm excited about this episode.
Yeah, me too. So we're going to start with quarterbacks. How spicy do you want to get?
You want to start out hot? Or you want me to start out with mine?
It depends, man. I'll start I'll have people hating me by the time this podcast is over.
All right, let's not piss people off too early. Let me pitch mine real quick.
Yeah, pitch yours.
So for me, as of right now, I'm going Brock Purdy right now on Keep Trade Cut, which is not something that I follow religiously, but it is like something I can look at and say, hey, this is how the community is valuing these players, right? He's at QB 14 right now, coming off a absolutely insanely efficient season. I'm talking 7% touchdown rate and 9.6 yards per attempt, not per completion, per attempt. It's absolutely insane. It's going to be honestly hard to repeat. I know he's in this awesome system with Kyle Shanahan, and I can't disagree with you. This offense is absolutely loaded. But at the same time, where he's at QB 14, there's guys that are right below him, like Dak, Tua, Goff, Kirk, and even all the way down to Stafford. Like, these are guys that are the same similar player that Brock is, that you can tier down, add more value on top of that, and put your team in a little bit of a better spot. My whole thing with this is kind of like Steven said, the stock market, right? We don't know if Brock Purdy's value is going to get this high again, right? He can come into this season and fall a little bit, and the Dynasty community is so reactive that he'll be boom, done, back down to 18, 19 next year. I always try so high. I think now is probably the time to do it for Brock Purdy. I know he just came off a great season, but man, it's rough. And then on top of that, he doesn't really offer a lot of upside on the rushing side. I think for an elite quarterback, you kind of want a little bit of rushing upside. He had 39 attempts all year last year. So
when I think of Brock Purdy,
yeah,
I think of efficiency God. That's what I think of. Overall, the volume isn't there for me to get behind Brock Purdy in certain aspects. So when I'm looking at Brock Purdy, there are people that draft Brock Purdy as a QB1. He is a QB1 on some dynasty rosters, and that's fine. 18 fantasy points per game last year, finishes QB6. Not bad. But I do want to say this. People don't realize that his points per game finish was lower than his QB overall finish. It was. Yeah. Think about it. Josh Allen. Jalen Hurts. Lamar Jackson. Jordan Love. Anthony Richardson. And we can keep going down the list. CJ Stroud.
Yeah.
had a better overall finish on a fantasy points per game level. And the list is going to go deeper than that. Kirk Cousins is on that list as well. Kirk Cousins had a
Yeah.
better finish.
Right.
And you get what I'm saying at this point here is that I think Brock Purdy is a great, great QB for you as a QB2. I do.
Yeah.
I truly do. But QB 14, if you're one of those people that miss on the back end of QBs and you have to pivot, he's going to be a QB1 somewhere.
Yeah, sure.
And I do not know if the efficiency can match the volume year in and year out.
Right. I just think it's a little high. I get the youth is there, but I'll get to this in a little bit. But my whole thing is you try to, as far as dynasty goes, at least I do, I try to live in a 3-4 year window. And I get he's young and everything, but I'm kind of always move roster pieces around, right? I can, like I said earlier, you can go tier down and get another quarterback who's probably just as serviceable and add more value. Like a Goff is a great example. Tier down from Purdy to Goff, and I think you're doing great things there. There are 2 tiers apart from each other as far as rankings go. So, yeah,
would rather lose than roster Purdy. Wow, that's deep. Somebody truly hurt your feelings here. So, overall, situationally, let's think about this as well.
Mm-hmm.
McCaffrey is locked in. Love the deal.
Yep.
Congratulations, Christian McCaffrey. Kittle is not. Long-term, Debo has until 2025.
Yep.
Brandon Ayuk is not locked in. I do think that playing with Kyle Shanahan offers a vote of confidence for any fantasy quarterback. But they're in cap purgatory. People forget to realize this, that they are in cap purgatory. They are hurting very badly when it comes to this situation.
Yep.
Now, we've seen the Saints. We've seen them mask the cap scenario situation for a lot of years. And I think the Niners can do the same. But I agree with you. At some point, they're going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
Purdy has to get paid as well.
Right.
You don't have a 5th-year option on Purdy. Purdy has to get paid soon as well.
Shout out Mr. Irrelevant.
Mr. Irrelevant. So what are you going to do? That's the question.
Right. That being said, Steve, you want to piss some people off? You ready for that?
Well, so my first pivot, I'm not saying sell because I truly believe that he is the next up-and-coming QB in the game. That being CJ Stroud.
Yep.
I'm going to be honest with you.
Here we are.
This is a pivot, guys. I believe in the talent. I really, really do. But where I've seen CJ Stroud go in dynasty startups as to referencing where he probably should go is a little outrageous. I've seen Stroud go one-on-one many a drafts.
Yeah. I'll never be able to get behind that.
Many a drafts. And I'll be honest with you, he's priced as the QB3 in Dynasty football. He is already.
Mm-hmm.
And rightfully so, he deserves to probably sit in the top 6. Rightfully so. But with no rushing upside, I don't get it. Because these Konami code QBs are so important to our game that I could not fathom taking Stroud that high. You just had Josh Allen, who hasn't thrown for less than 29 touchdown passes since 2019. Go over 24 fantasy points a game. You just had Jalen Hurts have statistically one of his worst passing seasons since he's come into the league. Go over 22 fantasy points a game. He had 15 rushing touchdowns. He's had 15, 13, and 10 rushing touchdowns the last 3 years. He's had no less than 145 attempts since he took over as a starter. That's important. Straight up. Lamar Jackson is a 2-time MVP. Lamar Jackson has had multiple 20 fantasy point per game seasons under his belt. You know what I mean? These are guys that we are talking about as a discounted price. If you're taking Stroud this high,
Right.
you have to bank on the fact that CJ Stroud is going to be a consistent 4,500 plus passer. He's going to be a 35 plus touchdown guy and an elite player to not turn the ball over. Last year, he only turned the ball over 5 times. He had 5 interceptions last year. 5. Can a QB keep that up long term? No, that's not sustainable.
Aaron Rodgers did it.
Aaron Rodgers, you're not. If you are, by all means, be great. But you have a lot to prove to me to be Aaron Rodgers. And I'll be honest with you. CJ Stroud cannot be priced any higher.
No. Yeah, he's at his ceiling right now.
He is at his absolute ceiling.
I'll say, here's the thing that I think that people get with CJ Stroud, right? He is a pocket passer. But with that being said, he's an elite pocket passer who can probably throw the ball for 4,000 to 4,500 every year for the rest of his career. And I think people look at that consistency and say, hey, that's probably a good thing, opposed to like a rushing quarterback who maybe can give you like 5-6 productive seasons with rushing, and you get that massive upside. But at the same time, Stroud's probably your franchise quarterback for 10 years. You set him there and forget it for the rest of your dynasty lifetime, and you're golden. That being said, we've seen this before in the past, right? We've seen Herbert jump high up into this QB3 range. We've seen Joe Burrow do it, get in this range. And these are guys that have slid behind the rushing quarterbacks, like Lamar, like Anthony Richardson, like Jalen Hurts, like we just covered. And they always seem to kind of fall down a little bit. So now I don't think he's like a true get him off my roster guy. I do think if you can trade him away for maybe like a Jalen Hurts plus, considering, I mean, they're right now valued pretty far apart, and maybe they shouldn't be. I think you're doing something there.
So, my idea is to pivot down. There's a player that's not talked about enough in fantasy circles, and there's a player that's really disrespected in the top 8 QBs, really disrespected. That being Kyler Murray.
Kyler too, sure.
Kyler Murray has never averaged less than 18 fantasy points per game. At his ceiling, his apex, we've seen Kyler produce multiple 23 fantasy point per game seasons. Multiple. He had 800 rushing yards 2 years ago. I know sometimes that the Cardinals' offense isn't pretty, and sometimes you're frustrated with Kyler Murray, especially after the new Call of Duty drops in November. You're really frustrated with Kyler.
COD curse, baby.
The COD curse is real with Kyler.
Yeah,
but if there's any QB that I think at this point is transcending to going back to true value, that's Kyler Murray. I love what this offense is becoming. I love the fact that they've invested heavily into their offensive line. I love that they've invested heavily into a number 1 true wide receiver long term. Trey McBride, a nice up-and-coming tight end that has elite potential. The running back situation looks really good with your veteran and then your guy that's sitting behind him in the wings. And they have plenty of time to upgrade throughout Kyler's contract. Kyler still has 4 years on his deal.
Yeah.
So what I'm looking to do.
And they're doing a lot with that offense as well.
Right. So what I was looking to do.
Tear down.
What I was looking to do was tear down to Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is one of my favorite buys in Dynasty football at this current moment. I would tear down. I will gladly take Kyler Murray, and I'm going to add additional 2025 draft capital because me and you have talked about it. This 2025 class is spectacular.
Spectacular. Back in the top 2 receivers. Well, actually, there's a sneaky good amount of receivers next year too, but yeah, next year's class.
And I think, no bullshit, I think you could probably manage to grab 2 first-round picks on top of Kyler Murray for trading Stroud. If not a first and a second, just a first and a second. But I think 2 firsts is absolutely in play and is absolutely possible.
Yeah. All right. So, Steve, you want to kick the next one off? The sad part is not a lot of quarterbacks to sell. I think a lot of them are appropriately valued. So we only have 3 quarterbacks tonight. Steve, you want to introduce?
Another pivot in the top 4, Patrick Mahomes.
The guy.
Patrick Mahomes. Consistently a fantasy quarterback 1. Can't argue that. I can't argue it. He's a mold of consistency. But for me, from what I've seen in 2023, I'm going to be honest with you. I think right now he's showing me he's a better real-life quarterback than a fantasy quarterback. And I'm going to tell you why. Every year you're investing a top 3 pick in Patrick Mahomes. Every year in redraft you're investing a top 30 pick in Patrick Mahomes. And to be honest with you, he hasn't lived up to that. 2 years ago he did. He absolutely did. Yeah, it was a QB1 overall finish. But outside of that, the last time he was 2018.
2018, yeah.
So those are the 2 years he's ever gone over 20 fantasy points per game. Last year, 2018. Other than that, under 19, under 19. So when I think of Pat Mahomes, I think of the Tyreek Hill trade. I think of the average depth of target has consistently dropped year in and year out when it comes to Patrick Mahomes. I think teams have figured out how to play Kansas City to a certain degree. I really do. If you notice, the deep ball isn't in the repertoire as much as it is. Over the last 2 years, there's only one team with over 20 plays of 50 yards or more, and that's the Miami Dolphins. And believe it or not, Kansas City Chiefs in the last 2 years are in the bottom 5 of the league in big plays and explosive plays. I think Mahomes has changed how he plays the quarterback position. I think Mahomes is just taking what the defense gives him, and I think he's okay with that. I don't think he's looking to push the ball down the field. I think he's just going to dink and dunk down his way down the field and, attack you here and there. Also, 3 straight years of double-digit interceptions. And we're not talking about just 10. We're talking about 12, 13, 14. Turns the ball over a lot. Aggressively turns the ball over a lot. And he's not even pushing the ball down the field. To me, sometimes Pat Mahomes doesn't look like he's reading he's reading what the defense is giving him at times as well. Pat Mahomes goes through these streaks where he turns the ball over a lot. And on top of that, no rushing touchdowns last year. Every year he's had one since he's been in the starter. He's had 2 or more every year since he became a starter in 2018. Last year, 0. His lowest rushing attempt total, and last year was his lowest passing touchdown total since 2019. People still have him in the top 4, whether it be at 3 behind Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts, or at 4 behind him, Hurts, and Stroud. So for you, realistically, I think all of them are relatively close in QB value. I'm actually looking just to pay the little bit of extra and go tier up.
Yeah.
In that tier, due to the age concept of it, I know Josh Allen's only 27, but the addition of Saquon Barkley and Kellen Moore in Philadelphia, Jalen Hurts is actually my more favorite buy as opposed to Josh Allen. Last year, we saw Jalen Hurts. He was hurt after the Seattle game, and that was in Week 11 last year. And he didn't really look the same after that. He really, looked just average. Philly in general in their last 7 games looked really average, and I don't expect that this year. I expect a big bounce back offensively. I expect Jalen Hurts to be a top 2 QB. Not surprised if he takes the QB1 overall spot back.
Right.
That's who Jalen Hurts is. Jalen Hurts is a phenomenal fantasy quarterback. And
here's where we disagree. Because if I own Mahomes, I'm probably never moving him off my roster. I mean, legitimately, he's spicy as hell.
I don't think so.
He's my QB1, and I get inflated value. Like he's at the top of the whole dynasty, everything. And sure, Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts can outscore him, this, that, and another thing. But he already outscored both of them in 2022. He's got it in him. Let's not forget, this last year was his least efficient season, but it also had no help next to Travis Kelce. I mean, look at it. You got Sky Moore. I mean, guys that got no business out there being wide receiver 1s and 2s. You saw it all year last year. Terrible drop passes all season. I get there's never a winner to buy Mahomes, but I might be on the other side of things coming off of a bad season. I mean, all but last year he had over 500 points in fantasy. You can't ask for anything more. And he's a guy like he's 28, sure, but he's probably got another 10 years in him. I probably would never sell Mahomes. I don't have a single ownership of him because he costs so much. But if I did have one, I'm probably not moving him. Not for the sun, whatever you want to say. He's staying locked on my roster.
So I guess my question to you is, and I'm talking about a tier up here. I'm talking about pivoting off of this because this information, a lot of people are afraid to talk about it when it comes to Pat Mahomes from a fantasy perspective because he is the best quarterback in the game.
Yeah,
but we have to differentiate fantasy from real life. And again, only 2 overall QB1 finishes. I don't think he has the upside week in and week out to beat Jalen Hurts or Josh Allen.
Yeah,
he doesn't. So and this is why I think this is pivotal to understand. This is I'm saying pivot off the value when there's value to be made.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm not talking bad about Pat Mahomes in any aspect. I'm just telling you that there are flaws in certain aspects of his game that translate and correlate to fantasy value.
It's fair.
So
I won't disagree with you.
I love Mahomes. I do.
But from your standpoint, if you're looking at a roster that maybe is lacking some depth, I guess moving Patrick Mahomes wouldn't be like the worst idea in the world. But if I'm a loaded roster,
I'm not looking to tier down with Pat Mahomes. I'm looking to tier up.
Okay. So you go on Josh Allen.
Jalen
Hurts. You're not getting Josh Allen or Jalen Hurts or either of those. I guess either of those two, right? You're probably not trading them.
I would tier down to Lamar.
Okay.
I would tear down to Lamar. I've become so infatuated with the Konami code QBs that tend to win. We don't know if Anthony Richardson is a winner yet. Me and you have had conversations when it says that Anthony Richardson is a physically gifted specimen. He's an athletic freak. He's a beast in fantasy football.
Yep.
But is he going to win games to the point where he's going to earn a second QB contract? That question has yet to be answered.
Sure.
So I don't know. I wouldn't pivot to AR, but I would pivot to Lamar.
That's tough. It's a tough call. That being said, I don't want to get caught up on Mahomes for too much. We got some running backs to talk about, baby. I kicked off quarterbacks, so you want to run your first running back past me? Do you feel this was a little bit better than Mahomes?
So my first running back I'm selling is Rachaad White. So when you look at Rachaad White, I think this is an easy sell for me because he has some of the worst rushing metrics in the NFL. Over the first 2 years of his career, 3.68 yards per carry on average. Not good. Chalmers going to sell CMC too. Absolutely not. CMC is my one set and forget it guy that defies all odds when it comes to age and touches on the body. So, Rachaad White, 3.68 yards per carry over his first 2 years. Not really a nose for the end zone. Tampa Bay last year ranked top 12 in opportunities from the 5-yard line and in. How many times did Rachaad White convert on any of those opportunities? Those opportunities were 25 times, just so you know. You know how many times he converted on 25 carries?
Two. Two of them things.
And if you're looking at it, Tampa Bay actually has a really solid offensive line, coming at 9th on the PFF overall grade. So, how is Rachaad White top 5 in the amount of times he was hitting the backfield last year?
It's a good call. People like efficiency. People like touches. That's the whole thing.
People like touches.
People love the consistent touches.
Absolutely.
They can look at him and say, this guy's touching the ball 15, 20 times a game.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. 336 touches last year.
It's a lot.
222 carries, 74 catches. I do not understand how he is being valued at his value point. I
Right.
understand the receiving upside is huge.
Mm-hmm.
I understand last year Sean Tucker didn't pan out to be a running back behind him. There was no staple running back that could ease and relieve the workload. But I do not believe that Rachaad White can stand up to another 336 touch season.
Right.
I don't. I know Bucky Irving didn't draw the draft capital that we had thought he would. Fine. But I'm gonna be honest with you. Bucky Irving is a better overall runner than Rachaad White.
It's true.
And I do not believe that Rachaad White will finish as a top 10 running back this season.
I think that's a fair assessment. I mean, you would imagine those touches have got to come down. I think the Bucs even said themselves that they're looking to not give him as many touches as they did last year and manage his workload. Especially if I think he's around like 3.8 yards per carry. So if he's that inefficient next year too, and he's getting less touches, he's definitely moving down the board.
He's less than 3.8, bro.
What was he at?
3.72.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hey.
3.72. My bad.
Hey, every decimal matters when it comes to yards per carry, bud.
That's fair. 0.08 though.
Sure.
I kid. Solid sell though. I'm 100% behind that. I think his value is inflated right now, especially in the same range as like who I think is probably a great buy as far as running back go is Josh Jacobs. They're in the same territory, and I think no doubt in my mind that Josh Jacobs is finally finishing above him, just to gauge where he's at as far as rankings go.
Yeah. I'm actually looking to tier up when it comes to Rachaad White because I don't think the value is that far off. The one player who really, really stands out to me is James Cook.
I mean, they're the same guy, right?
No. James Cook, 10 times more efficient.
I mean, they're the same guy, right?
10 times more efficient. 10 times. And I'll be honest with you, I want anybody playing with Josh Allen. I want all parts of this. Now that Stephon Diggs is gone, I'm so excited to see this offense run through Kincaid and James Cook first. Not Keon Coleman. Heck. But I believe for how good James Cook was last year, I believe James Cook could be better this year.
Oh, if he gets the same amount of touches that Rachaad White did, you'd be in the money. On both guys. Yeah, on both guys. Alvin Kamara version. Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Well, I'll be honest with you. If I could get early Alvin Kamara, I'll take that Alvin Kamara. These guys are not that. I wish I could get early Alvin Kamara. But yeah, James Cook, Ken Walker, Jonathan Brooks are three names that really stand out to me when it comes to the tier up. I don't know if you could buy into Devon Achane. He's a little bit higher up on the list, but Ken Walker stands out to me, a guy last year who was top 5 in the league in broken tackles, yards after contact. It was unfortunate. He was really, really hot early in the season, really hot, and then he had that injury. And Zach Charbonnet didn't play well enough for me to even worry about him taking any workload responsibilities from him going into the season. So Ken Walker, the only thing that scares me about that situation, we're not Pete Carroll style football anymore. They're more modern. They're now looking to pass the ball, new offensive coordinator in town, new coaching schemes. But Ken Walker, another running back that I really like there. Those three names stand out to me. Really in love with Jonathan Brooks as an overall running back. Really in love with his projected skill set that he can have in Carolina. So those are some names that I am looking to tier up to. But Josh Jacobs is another player to trade into the same tier. Yeah. I do like Josh Jacobs. I like him in Green Bay as well.
Yeah, just that offense alone. All right, so I'll kick my running backs off. Someone who took a huge move this offseason from my Giants to the Eagles. I like Saquon Barkley as a sell right now. Honestly, I do. You saw as more time he's throwing with the Giants, the more his value goes down. I think he was down to like RB13 last season. And I get the Eagles offer a lot more upside than the Giants do. He's back up to running back 8. And to be honest with you, once preseason starts, all the preseason hype gets to him, I expect him to be pushed up a little more than that. So if you want to wait on this one, I don't blame you. But he's 27, going into his 7th season in the league. He's got over 2,000 touches on his body, which I preach. Once you hit 1,500, I'm looking to push away because that's when the injuries come, right? But everybody's saying this is such a great offense for him to be in. Honestly, you can see some regression in this game. I mean, you look at it. Jalen Hurts, the past 3 years, 10 touchdowns, 13 touchdowns, 15 touchdowns in the rushing category. These are things that are going to be taken away from Saquon Barkley. It's rough. On top of that, Barkley also offers upside with the receiving game. And Jalen Hurts does not throw to his running backs. They had DeAndre Swift last year, who's a receiving back. You would profile him as a receiving back, no? He only got 49 targets all season last year. And I don't know. There's some things that like point to me like I'm glad that he's on a new team and he can go win some football. I'm excited for him as a player. I'm going to miss him in the Giants. But like as far as fantasy goes, I think it's only going down. I hate to say it like that, but like with what Jalen Hurts does with this offense and what they've been doing over there, doesn't really line up with Saquon Barkley too much.
So I have a couple of questions when it comes to Saquon Barkley for you. So I will say this, Saquon Barkley, throughout his NFL career, typically not on the field, to be honest with you. And he never missed a game in Penn State. I'm a diehard Penn State fan. Love Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
So I have a little rebuttal. I'm going to throw you some rebuttal here. And my question being this. So last year, I had 247 carries at 3.89 yards per carry. Typically not what Saquon does. Saquon is a very efficient running back. So with his touches, his quality of touches in Philly, that has to mean something to you, right?
Sure.
You go from playing behind the Giants offensive line. Overall, the Giants game script, the Giants had a negative game script last year. And, you know, it's not Tommy DeVito's fault. I'm not going to say it was, but a negative game script. So the quality touches are going to be there. He was a top 12 running back last year. He only scored 6 touchdowns on the rushing side of things. But that has to mean something, right? The quality of touches.
Sure. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, like, he's not going to be more efficient and that number's not going to move up into the 4s per carry. That's 100% in the game plan, right? But I think you're going to be, like, a little bit less reliant on the receiving side. So all of his points are going to come via the rush and touchdowns. And I think both. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you he can't hit 1,400 yards rushing. But if he hits 10 touchdowns this year rushing, pat him on the back. I don't know how he did it or how he will do it with as much as they just give the ball to Jalen Hurts as soon as they get inside the 2. I get what you're saying. And like the quality of touches is going to be massively better. But a lot of this goes back to age, man. Like I get it. He's got all the upside in the world. But if you're looking to sell on an aging running back right now, now's the time to do it right now.
Yeah, I agree with you.
He's been and probably will be for the rest of his career.
I agree with you. I agree with you on the sell of Saquon. I'm trying to play like a little bit of devil's advocate here in that aspect. So last year, Saquon only received 60 targets and had 41 catches. So even if I know Jalen Hurts is one of the bottom QBs in the league when it comes to targeting the running back. But my question is, with how much DeAndre Swift was spelled and how he disappeared in games for us, and even though he was playing very well, he disappeared in games in certain aspects. I do think that Saquon Barkley can replicate his 60 targets that he had with the Eagles. I guess I'm talking more of a redraft standpoint because I think Saquon Barkley is loaded up to be a monster in 2024.
Yeah, sure.
And I do think that his value could push him possibly back into the top 6. Yeah. You sell him right now, you might not be peak, but you're right there.
Yeah, like I said before I even pitched this, if you want to wait a little longer, wait for the preseason hype to push him up even further, which I expect it does. It happens every year. Every year, once the season starts, Barkley's getting pushed up, higher and higher and higher. He's at 8 right now. Like you said, I can see him getting a 6. So if he pushes inside 6, 5, I don't think he gets 5, but it just screams sell to me.
Yeah, And I agree. I just think that like when
If
we
you're
talk
trying to,
about
I'll put it like this: if you're trying to win this season, you're probably holding Saquon. But outside of that,
yeah. No, I like to play devil's advocate with
yeah,
Saquon because I think the situation is going to be a lot of fun for 2024 success in fantasy. I really do. I think Saquon's going to have a monster year. But I do agree
right.
that Saquon Barkley is a sell at the highest value he'll be probably for the rest of his career. But I do like playing devil's advocate because I love Saquon Barkley.
I mean, I do too. Trust me, I'm a Giants fan, man. Come on.
So, you know what I mean? So lastly, my last running back sell, and this may come as a surprise because I'll be honest with you, this was a monster season that we never ever expected from a running back like this, especially with his draft capital, like where he was picked at, and he just the overall expectation for this guy is Kyron Williams.
Great.
So right now, coming in at running back 9, and I'll be honest with you, it's very impressive what he did last year because his injury history is so extensive, dating all the way back to Notre Dame. I mean, extensive. You think JK, and I'm not saying they're as bad as JK Dobbins injuries, but like you're talking about missing significant time year in and year out. That was Kyron Williams. Technically a quote unquote undersized running back. Sleeper has him at 202. He's never been 202. He's definitely under 195. Just one of those undersized running backs, over 20 touches per game last year, coming in at almost 22 fantasy points per game. On top of all that, all those touches on his body, can he replicate the elite efficiency? 5.02 yards per carry. That number is crazy.
Yeah, that's really high.
Running backs do not hit that number consistently unless your name's Jamal Charles or Nick Chubb.
Shout out my boy Jamal.
Shout
My
out
favorite fantasy running back ever. Sorry.
Shout out Jamal Charles.
Shout out
Anyway,
Jamal Charles, man.
And I know McVay typically uses a one running back system. He typically runs his running backs into the ground. He did it with Todd Gurley. And he's done it. He did it in Washington in his tenure in Washington. And we can keep going down the list here. But, and I know we did this with Bigsby and Charbonnet last year, but I'm a big, big fan of Blake Corum. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know if Blake Corum is there just to spell Kyron Williams of touches or if Blake Corum's there to have a actual role. It's yet to be determined. But I'll be honest with you, I don't want to be on the wrong side of that question.
Yeah.
Coming in at running back 9 in a running back landscape that's already terrible, I'm looking to pivot now.
Yeah.
I'm looking to cash in on the value that Kyron Williams has given himself so I can just avoid the situation.
Right. Yeah, I'm for the Kyron sell. Like I said, the league efficiency last year screams maybe not the most repeatable thing in the world, to be honest with you. I mean, like you said, 5 yards per carry. I think all the top of my head, the only other running back, that hit that number was Devon Achane.
Raheem Mostert.
Oh, of course. The whole Dolphins backfield. Great. but yeah, I mean, you think Blake Corum comes in, probably steals a little bit from Kyron, I would imagine. I mean, when Kyron's getting all of his crazy touches, they had no real backup. I mean, Darrell Henderson, who was their perceived backup, went down. So it was really just Kyron.
He got cut.
Oh, he got cut. Oh,
he got
Jesus
cut.
Christ.
He got cut after. He got cut after they traded Cam Akers. He got cut.
Jesus. All right, well, my bad. He got cut. Even worse. So I think the only other guy they had was whatever that rookie's name was. What's his name? I'm blanking on it right now.
Zach Evans.
Who
didn't play.
Exactly. It was just Kyron Williams.
It was just Kyron Williams.
Yeah. And like you said, I hate the whole like Charbonnet thing to Kenneth Walker because I mean he did take away touches from Kenneth Walker, but I don't expect it to be as massive with Blake Corum and Kyron, but definitely expect a little bit less from Kyron going into the season.
So, lastly, what I'm looking to do with Kyron here, I'm actually looking to tear down. I want to tear down. This is where I want to get into the veterans. This is where I want to add that additional first round pick in 2025. We talk about how beautiful the running back landscape is coming into the 2025 class. So I'm looking to tear down. May not get a first out of Josh Jacobs to the tear down from Kyron to Josh Jacobs, but at the same time, if I can, go there. Josh Jacobs is my number one answer, but
Yeah.
my number two answer is Derrick Henry.
I can't say anything.
I'm tearing down. I'm adding additional 2025 draft capital. I'm looking to replace the running back that I do not believe can sustain the elite efficiency while maintaining a 20 touch per game average for a whole season. I just don't think it's possible.
Yeah. I'm with it. I'm with you on that one. I hate that the only thing we disagree with on tonight is Patrick Mahomes. We need to have more stuff to disagree on. I'm gonna start saying some off the wall shit just so you can argue with me.
I do not think it's spicy. I think the pertinent information that I delivered to everybody about Patrick Mahomes from a fantasy aspect is relevant. It's relevant.
You make a point, but I'm just saying I would like to argue with you more on the show.
You know what I mean? Like, if you want me to go tell you to sell Josh Allen right now, I don't know what to tell you. How do I tell you to sell Josh Allen, who's been QB1 or QB2 the last 5 years? How do I tell you to sell Josh Allen? I can't.
True. I mean, you don't. Kind of like Mahomes, but teach their own. Anyway.
You're an asshole.
Anyway, my last running back, excuse me, losing my voice a little bit towards the end here, is Jonathan Taylor, who's sitting at RB5. Once again, I don't think I've preached it on DFF, but I've said it on every other podcast I've been in, hosted by at least. I live by the 1,500 touch rule, whether college, NFL combined. Once the running back hits 1,500, I'm looking to ship. There's few cases where I don't. The one person that I've never listened to 1,500 rule was CMC, Derrick Henry. That's it. Everybody else can get out the door. You know, Jonathan Taylor's one of those guys. He's at 1,800 plus right now from college and NFL. He's already last 2 seasons. He's missed more than 5 games in each. So it's already starting. You're already starting to see the breakdown of Jonathan Taylor. And the fact of the matter is, I don't think you're ever going to get 1,800 yards and 18 touchdowns. That massive season he had his second year in 2021. I don't think you're ever going to see that Jonathan Taylor again. I preached it after that season to sell him off that 1,800 yard season because that won't happen again, and it hasn't. Right? So just for the future reference, if any running back goes absolutely bonkers, you might as well ship him off because it's not happening again. Like Travis Etienne goes out this year and has an insanely efficient season, finishes as the RB2, for example. Guess what? He's gone off my roster the next season because that's max value. You won't go any higher than that. But that being said, put all that aside. Just wanted to preach for a second. AR and him make a great pairing out of the backfield. They do. 100%. But the same reason why Saquon Barkley is hurt by Jalen Hurts, Jonathan Taylor's hurt by AR. Let's be real here, Steven. AR is the type of quarterback that can push for Justin Fields' record for rushing at the quarterback position. He is. He can go out there and rush for 1,000 yards if he wants to. I don't think you're ever going to see a real season where a backfield gets 2,000, 2,500 plus rushing yards. I don't know if that's ever happened off the top of my head.
It has. Carolina Panthers, D'Angelo Williams, Jonathan Stewart.
Stand corrected. But nonetheless, it's very rare, and I'm not sure if we can get there, right? On top of that, he's not same thing. He's going to lose targets. A part of his massive efficiency was catching the ball in the backfield. That's gone with AR. It was already gone with Gardner Minshew last year. In the 2 out of 10 games he played last season, let me reword this. He had 5 or more targets in only 2 of the 10 games he played in the offense last year. Now, I get whether that be let's play it safe, whatever. But I think they're trying to move in the direction of having Jonathan Taylor only rush the ball. I don't love to project injury onto players, but if I'm betting on it, he's probably going to miss some more games this year, if I'm being honest with you.
So when I speak of Jonathan Taylor, to be fair, the 4 games that he missed last year were contract disputes. In the early of the season, he did miss 3 games later on. So yes, he did miss games due to injury.
Honestly, it's even worse than an injury.
I will say the contract disputes thing early in the year really capped the Colts. We never got to see Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor play a single snap together. So I will say that Jonathan Taylor is one of my favorite running backs in the league. Big Ten guy, very accomplished guy in the Big Ten, very accomplished guy in the league to a certain aspect. Second half of his rookie year, stud. 2021, stud. I will say, though, that the fall off in the aspects of 2022, high ankle injuries are so weird for running backs. I mean, you've dealt with it with Saquon. Saquon's had multiple of them.
Yeah.
And he's never recovered. Last year, like I said, it wasn't that. It was the contract dispute that really hindered early season aspirations for Jonathan Taylor. I have high expectations in 2024 for Jonathan Taylor. I really do. I think pairing him with Anthony Richardson is going to be a lot of fun in certain aspects. But the 1,500 touch rule is a great rule for you. Great rule. But I'm more of a second contract guy. I'm looking to avoid running backs in the second contract. Right. We're here with Taylor. We have seen the ligament, soft tissue ligament injuries really start to pile up here. And I'll be honest with you, we might have – he's 25 now. We might have 2, maybe 3 running back 1 seasons left. He is price pointed at running back 5. I do think that over the 3-year window of which we play Dynasty, especially with running backs, that this is going to be his highest value point. He will not pass. He will not pass Gibbs. He will not pass Bijan. And he will not pass Breece Hall. The only way he passes McCaffrey is if he retires.
Yeah, that's true. It's very true.
Oh, I like this question. How much are you two Shane Steichen believers? Herbert and Hurts have taken step back since he left them. Now he's with AR. I'm a big AR fan. I know Ben is too, and you guys, we preach AR. I finally got my first share of Anthony Richardson, and I am so excited. So excited for Anthony Richardson. I believe that QB1 overall is in the cards. I do believe that is possible. And that is why when I talk about tier down for these dynasty quarterbacks, Anthony Richardson, Kyler Murray, I don't think it's out of the question for either one of these guys to have QB1 upside. I truly don't.
Yeah.
And I love Anthony Richardson. Love him. If you can acquire him, he's not cheap. He's QB9, QB10, depending on how you have it ran. You're going to pay a pretty penny for him.
Yeah.
But I like him. I like him a lot.
I think QB1 overall, like 1 straight up, is also in the one of the possibilities for sure. I think it is. The only thing that worries me with AR is playing a full healthy season. I feel like he's had nagging injury after nagging injury throughout college, even last year with his injury they stack up, right? So I think if you get a full season at AR, which I think is very much in the cards, given how young he is, he can absolutely finish the QB1, at least inside the top 3, I would imagine. Dude's got hella upside, and I love Steichen, what he's done for the quarterbacks he's worked with, and now he's with another young guy.
Are you also concerned about Hurts and Herbert or no? Hurts, no. I really like him with Kellen Moore. I really like that pairing. I know when you have a leader like Jason Kelce retire, especially your center, you're like, this sucks. And yeah, it sucks to see Jason Kelce leave the game. But I think Kellen Moore was very underrated, especially as an offensive coordinator over there in Dallas. Produced multiple QB1 seasons with Dak. Love his scheme, love his system. I'm excited to see Hurts play in it. Year 2 with it. Like I said, last year, the last 7 games for the Eagles was really, really rough, injury-wise, and just overall play. I'm just very excited to see Hurts healthy again, after that Seahawks game. I'm excited to see overall A.J. Brown healthy again and Goddard healthy again.
Yeah.
Huge pieces. I'll let you talk about Herbert.
He's leaving it to me because he knows I'm a Herbert guy, and I am through and through a Herbert guy. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I feel just as comfortable as he was last year when he had all those targets with Mike Williams and Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler, who had a fall off, but is still efficient in that offense. He lost everything. Everything. Keenan Allen shipped out the door to the Bears for a fourth. Mike Williams, I think he just straight up got cut. Eckler's with the Commanders now. He has nothing around him, right? On top of that, they're bringing Harbaugh, which isn't great, right? He's typically a run-first offense. That being said, the running backs they have in the backfield, Vidal, Dobbins, Gus Edwards, can those guys really handle a workload that they want to do there with Harbaugh? I think you're going to kind of see a more efficient season, kind of more like a Brock Purdy type season than you will like a Justin Herbert type season. I think he'll be highly efficient with the ball, but he probably won't be throwing the ball 500 plus times like you used to seeing him do. That being said, I'm a little bit worried this year, but I also wouldn't be surprised if he stayed right in keel. But given what we saw with Mahomes last year when he had a lack of weapons, you saw a huge fall from even Mahomes. So I think the concerns have to be there, but it's also important to temper them. I think he's still a great quarterback to own in Dynasty.
Yes, I think the long-term outlook is great. We've seen Justin Herbert since the time he's come into the league be one of the top 3 most sacks QBs in the league. I do believe that the transition and you reinforcing what you think is important, offensive line play, run first. They want to be efficient with the ball there at first, and then they want to let their gunslinger win them games in certain aspects.
Right.
People think it was all on Herbert, and last year, typically in games they lost, it was. In games they lost when Herbert was on the field, the defense was only allowing 12 points per game. I thought that was crazy. I didn't expect that because at times I thought the Chargers played really bad on the defensive side of the ball, but they actually didn't as bad as I thought they did. I think long term, I think you're going to see the Chargers add another weapon in 25.
Sure.
And best believe it, they have a lot of cap casualties that can be cut in aspects. Their salary cap is going to be pretty going into 2025. Really pretty. Long term, I'm not worried about Herbert at all. 2024, you might need to tamper some expectations.
Right. Remember, Dynasty's about a long game. People forget that way too often.
So, Ryan, it's going to wrap it up for us tonight. So, on the schedule, we have what? Wide receivers and tight ends. It is my long work week. That's going to be on Monday. We're going to do that Monday.
Yep.
Just so everybody knows. 8:45 Eastern, as always. It's a religious time for us for some reason. But
easiest time for us to go, baby.
Yeah. So Monday night, we will be back. We're going to finish up this series. We're going to go wide receivers and tight ends. After that, we got some tier rankings videos. We might throw in, sprinkle in a little dynasty startup draft, have a little fun.
Yep.
We're going to have a little fun this offseason, man. So, anything you want to say before we get out of here?
Yeah, no. As always, if you came out to watch tonight, shout out to you. We appreciate you guys coming out and support us, especially the DFF. I know it's hard to build a fan base, right? Like, you guys don't know us for who we are, but you guys have welcomed us with open hearts. These videos have done better than I thought I could ever imagine. So we appreciate you guys welcoming us into the DFF community. Steven, got anything for the people before we head out of here?
Yeah, 343 people are with us live right now. You get to listen to me and Ryan talk about football. I don't know what more you want to do at 9:40 at night. Now, granted, whatever time zone you're in, we're Eastern time, so 9:40 Eastern time. It's awesome. DFF, we appreciate all you guys. We appreciate the open arms and the open hearts to the community. And this is a project that Ryan and I were excited to get going. And we absolutely love it, and we love the results so far. Things have been great, but guess what? We are shooting for the stars here. We're going to continue to grind, and we're going to continue to have positive results here in this. And the big thing is this. We hope our advice helps you win. And we won't know until we get to the regular season. But we're shooting for championships.
Yep.
So on that
being
note,
said, a few of you have hopped in late. I'm watching this number go up a little bit. We're wrapping the show up, guys. But that being said, we're going to do a recap video. Everything you just missed out on is going to go on the DFF YouTube. We're going to have that up probably by the end of the night. So if you missed out and you're just joining in, find it on the YouTube page. That being said, Steve, we out?
Yeah, well, I just want to say this. As always, though, guys, if you like the comment or the content tonight, always importantly like, comment, and most importantly, subscribe to our YouTube. YouTube is one of the games we have not figured out yet.
It's tough.
We're still working on figuring that out. But we have added subs and we have videos up that have had positive reviews and views. So thank you guys for that as well. So if you like the content tonight, try to hit us with a subscribe on our YouTube channel. And we'll see you on Monday night at 8:45. And we are